Rootspring and Bristlefrost, my favorite warrior cat ship. Now I know it's not the most popular warrior cats couple out there, but when you really think about it, there are very few canon warriors pairings that are popular. So you know what, opinions are opinions. You can think what you want, but I'm still going to have a side in the argument that I want to defend. So here we go. Rootspring and Bristlefrost, in my opinion, is a healthy relationship. And I think they did a better job slowly developing it than most other relationships in the series. They're kind but patient, caring but not overbearing, and all around just cute. Just from the first 4 books, we go from confusion and embarrassment to more cautious optimism to testing the waters to living a fantasy to setting boundaries. So many different stages of both cats keeping check on both their emotions and the emotions of their partner, all the while holding themselves accountable when they do overstep. So it all starts with Lost Stars. Bristlepaw saves Rootpaw from drowning, and Rootpaw is warned by the gesture of bravery. Admittedly, it does seem like a bit of a Gray Striped Silverstream rehash, but moving forward it goes in a completely different direction. What I like to call the Vole scene is by far the most standout scene in Lost Stars for me, even more so than the imposter drama at the end of the book. It's a moment of raw, secondhand embarrassment that we usually don't experience in warrior cats, and it makes the relationship realistic. Other forbidden romance pairings like Blue Oak, Leaf Crow, and Grey Silver jump from not knowing each other to madly in love almost instantaneously. But from Bristleroot we get to see the different stages of developing feelings for someone. Having a crush, dealing with unrequited love, being unsure if it's worth the effort. Rootpaw gets so embarrassed that he could hardly be seen with his dad without turning bright red. And he still takes the risk of making the very unconventional gesture of giving Brushkill to another clan, just to show gratitude to Bristlefrost. And it doesn't go well. Given the circumstances, there was no way it could have gone well. But that's part of learning. His heart was never in the wrong place, he just went about expressing his feelings in the wrong way. To get in a relationship you have to push, but there comes a point when you push too hard too fast. And you have to find out where that line is and respect boundaries. One of Bristlefrost's boundaries is that she wants to stay true and loyal to ThunderClan, and being offered such a generous handout was embarrassing to her because it could be seen as an insult to her ability to hunt for her clan with her own skill. But the next time the two cats interact, Rootpaw dials himself way back, understanding how silly his former actions were, and as a result, Bristlefrost feels the need to apologize because she now understands his intentions and can relax knowing that he is no longer so demanding of her attention. Character development, my favorite. I think the main reason so many people were turned away from the ship after Lost Stars was the Bristlefrost Stemleaf plot, in which the cat Bristlefrost loved, Stemleaf, rejected her because he was more interested in Spotfur. So naturally you see Bristlefrost get hurt for the sake of Stemleaf's happiness, and you want justice of some sort for Bristlefrost's sake. So you hope that Rootpaw gets rejected and hurt for the sake of Bristlefrost's happiness. But that doesn't happen, and I'm kinda happy it didn't. 1. Bristlefrost is single while Stemleaf is not, and 2. Rootspring is so much more self-aware. He doesn't ask Bristlefrost to be his mate the moment he becomes a warrior, he more so treads carefully. He is rather embarrassed of his love at first, never flat out demanding a relationship from Bristlefrost. I mean, he walks the line with the Vole scene, but the resulting failure and embarrassment pushes him back into reason. And from then on, Rootspring is very cautious when it comes to interacting with Bristlefrost. Optimistic but understanding. Okay, the silent thaw. We start to see Bristlefrost have some level of compassion towards Rootpaw as he shares with her what he has seen of Ghost Bramblestar. But what I find to be a real turning point for their relationship comes later in the book. It's a scene I don't think is talked about enough. It's at the gathering where Rootpaw sacrifices his own reputation to protect Bristlefrost. Because of their shared knowledge of Bramblestar's ghost, the two cats look at each other while the imposter Bramblestar is talking, and they get called out for it. This is a very dangerous moment for Bristlefrost, as Ashfur is very evil and absolutely would try to kill her if he found it necessary, which we later see happen to poor Stemleaf when he rebels. But Rootpaw is able to diffuse the intensity of the situation by exaggerating his crush on Bristlefrost, removing the suspicion that the two cats were plotting together. This in turn is super embarrassing for Rootpaw because Leafstar was already calling him out for mooning over her as a reason for him not being made a warrior yet. but he was willing to deal with whatever consequences he had back in SkyClan because Bristlefrost was clearly in a more precarious situation. And towards the end of the book, we see Bristlefrost admit to herself that she really trusts Rootpaw. And I mean, it makes sense. He looks after her, and unlike Lost Stars, his act of kindness is done in her genuine point of need, and he takes responsibility for something that he dragged her into, so it's not forced in the slightest. Veil of Shadows time. Now there actually isn't much Bristleroot content in this book, but there is the big confession, and that's another reason people don't like them too much. It feels like they made the jump from just trusting each other to being totally in love over the course of a single conversation. But personally, I think when taking all 3 books into account, this conclusion makes sense. They have a serious companionship going with them working together to make sense of the Bramblestar situation. And when reading the confession conversation itself, it's not like they're showing unrealistic amounts of emotion. It was just a gentle, yeah, I like you, Bristlefrost. And yeah, I like you too, Rootspring. Things might work out, things might not work out, but regardless, it's great having you in my life. They might not have a future, but right now, they were together, and for the moment, that was enough. I just think that's cute, okay? Finally, let's talk Darkness Within. This book by far has the most Bristleroot content due to the fact that they go on a quest together. And I'll say it again, they're cute! There are a lot of cliché romantic moments with the 2 cats being excited to see each other and such. At this point, I love them so much that I'm going to be happy no matter how cheesy it is. But for the Bristleroot skeptics, I would like to talk about one plot point that's really genuine in solidifying their connection. And that is the discussion over whether the 2 cats would leave their clans for each other. And the answer is no, neither of them would. But through coming to understand this, their connection greatly improves. Their care for each other extends beyond the need for them to be together in terms of proximity. Rootspring tries to hold his fantasy for a moment, but Bristlefrost is able to express her true needs, and he later pushes past this fantasy and gets an understanding of Bristlefrost's whole self and her needs. It's a clear example of if you love someone, set them free. When Rootspring actively works to help Squirrelflight and ThunderClan so Bristlefrost can stay there, it shows he cares for Bristlefrost more than being in a relationship with Bristlefrost. And in being a cat who would stay loyal to his family, Rootspring becomes a cat Bristlefrost can respect. Rootspring has gone miles from the obsessive behavior that led to the Vole scene, as he can see way past himself now. And Bristlefrost shows a lot of character development too, as she has shifted from trying to live a perfect fantasy life with Stemleaf, to her having a much better read on the cats around her, and stronger compassion towards the cats who genuinely need her help, mainly Spotfur and Squirrelflight. So you could hate Rootspring and Bristlefrost if you want, I can't stop you. But I do encourage you to recognize that there are good aspects to their connection and interesting character development to follow with these 2. As always, thanks for watching. I'd really appreciate it if you could subscribe if you haven't already, it helps me out tremendously. Alright, bye everyone.